let's talk about the oil market and your story today and the fears that we could see another spike like in 2008. What's underlying that's driving that?
Well, it's basically when you're the oil markets rely on some form of cushion, you know, something that makes them comfortable. Generally, oil stocks in consuming countries, and what we call spare capacity, which is basically idle oil fields which nobody taps into but can be used very quickly in case markets need it. Now, if both are very thin, if both are getting dangerously stiff, basically, markets react by thinking, well, we don't have any money on the piggy bank, so you know, let's push the price because there's going to be more demand than supply.
Yeah. Now, you know, I know here in the United States, and maybe this has changed recently, but I know that I have heard, and I read stories all the time, they always talk about how much oil is here in the U.S., that the refineries are full, that they're to the brim, they can't store anymore. Is that picture changing?
Well, what's happened is this is expensive oil to extract. It also had, obviously, in North America, also environmental restrictions. You know, you can't drill as much as you want and anywhere. So it's still sort of restricted oil that you're finding in these non-conventional reserves. So the easy, cheap oil remains in the Middle East. And that one is shrinking in the available capacity, basically. There's not as much spare capacity as people would want.
Is there a worst-case scenario that the market is anticipating or that might be expected?
Oh, they have good reasons to anticipate the worst. I mean, there's been threats to shut the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, it wouldn't be shut for a long time, but that would sort of create disruptions and frictions on the market. So, I mean, obviously, the market is somehow right to think it needs a good cushion. If this cushion is uncomfortable and very thin, then that means basically the price would go higher if something goes wrong.
Yeah, I mean, when you say the price will go higher, how high are we talking about? Let's really get down to it. What's the fear?
That, if really you talk about worst case scenario, $150 a barrel is really within reach. It's a real possibility.
What was that? I'm sorry, what was that number?
150.
150?
Dollars a barrel.
That would be a new record, wouldn't it?
Exactly right.
And that's, you know, we had that in 2008. In 2008, you saw $150 a barrel, drove the price here in the U.S. up to about $4.11 at its highest in the summer. That was very bad for the economy, if I recall correctly, George Stahl.
It wasn't good.
Wasn't
Indeed.
good.
No.
It wasn't good. What would it do in Europe, Benoit? I mean, I know that, you know, Greece especially is very dependent upon Iranian oil. Some of the other countries, what would it do for Europe?
Well, actually, you hit the nail here. In dollars, it's getting more expensive, but in euros and pound, it's getting even more expensive because the currency is weaker now than it was back then. Now, as you pointed, the main disruption at the moment anyway, because of the sanction, the European oil embargo, is on the most fragile Western economies, really the epicenter of the Eurozone crisis, Greece, Italy, and Spain. So we're talking about fragile economies which are already overpaying more than the US does for oil because of the currency effect, getting even worse hit by the Iranian oil embargo. This is indeed a very bad scenario for those countries.
All this sounds pretty pessimistic. Is there some optimistic line or something that maybe we can hold on to as a possibility to avoid higher oil prices this year?
Well, first of all, the Iranian side has said they want to talk. The European side has said they want to talk. I mean, we could see some resolution. And also you could think that at the moment it's only words. I mean, nothing's happened really in terms of military escalation. It's all been words and no actual action. So, you know, until we get to a scenario where it's getting closer to an actual military action, you can only think this is a form of dialogue in some way through for public communication. So yeah, things could go better as well.